where they put bacon on the Quran Masahif.
Yeah, recently, yes. How do you balance between free mixing and segregation?
It's easier to receive if it is coming from your own gender.
Now it's getting harder and harder just for Muslim students to pray in these rooms.
So we have two options, one for members and one for non-members.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Welcome to Muslims in Europe. So today we have from LUMS University Muslims in Sweden. Am I correct?
Students.
Students, okay,
Muslim
sorry.
students, yes.
Muslim students. So, yeah, تفضل, please tell us about yourself. Maybe we can start with the founder, Ali.
Right, so Assalamu alaikum, barakallahu feekum for this opportunity. It's a pleasure, and I've been following your work. MashaAllah, really nice and good initiative. May Allah bless you and continue blessing you in your initiative.
Jazakallah.
So,
You too, brother.
my name's Ali, and Ali Halbastia, basically. I have two first names. And I've been involved in the founding of LUMS. I think it was like 2022 the work started, and then 2023 it was founded as an association, because here in Sweden you have to basically register via a government agency for you to get a special number and so on. And from that point on, it was basically founded, alhamdulillah. And before that, I was also a part of so I'm not only the only founder, of course. I was a co-founder together with others of another association also before in Linnea. You know, this subhanAllah, there was an incident a couple of by now, I think a week ago, where they put bacon on the Quran Masahif.
Yeah, recently, yes, I remember.
Yes, so this was actually the association before LUMS, which is called LUMS, so Linnaeus University, Muslim students. So alhamdulillah, I was also part of that as an initiative, and that was 1 year before, so during the lockdown period where they started. So alhamdulillah, we're seeing an increase in Muslim Students associations all over Sweden. And I think it's a good momentum to be utilized. Allahu alam how it is in other countries, but I think in Sweden we are maybe 19 MSAs with different sizes, of course, and sometimes even multiple ones in the same university. But that doesn't necessarily have to be something bad. But that is basically how the landscape is looking like.
Alhamdulillah. Yes. Alhamdulillah. So, a little bit about yourself, Rahme. Is that how I need to pronounce your name?
Yes, it's totally correct. So my name is Rahme, and I am for now sitting as the female president for LUMS, and I was also sitting with brother Ali the year before. So I wasn't engaged, as Brother Ali said, in the whole journey of like beginning or starting LUMS, but I was more engaged in the late process where it was about to be officially that LUMS is going to be an organization in Lund. That's where I pop in the picture, if I have to say that. And then I was elected as the female president for my first engagement. And alhamdulillah, I have this year left in university now, which I was also elected again as the female president for this association. I am last year a medical student, so I'm going to be graduating this summer, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Apart from that, apart from LUMS, I wasn't actually engaging in a lot of stuff in community. LUMS was like my first step. But alhamdulillah, now I'm more engaged in other stuff, more internationally. I go to other like study circles, but also study sessions with other Muslim international organizations, which I find really something that I really, I really look forward for. It's something that gives me energy. In other words,
this is the continuation of Muslim organizations, but as students or postgraduates, how does it work?
You mean now or in the future?
In the future, you said you will be joining.
in the future, I'm planning to stay active somehow, maybe in, as you said, like as postgraduate or so. But I don't think that, I mean, as for LUMS, it's going to be my end journey now. When I end my studies, I will be, as Brother Ali, like a backup person. If anything happens, of course, I will be there. But for LUMS, no, it's going to be like my end journey now. However, it's not, that's what I wanted to say. It's not the end journey of everything of my activism. It's rather the end of something, but the start of something else, inshallah.
Indeed. No, I asked you that question because some people might be okay. Some people after graduating they don't know how to help students, and at least your organization started from 2022. So people who graduated just before that might also be interested. So how can they involve? So I'm asking you that question. Like, how can they get involved themselves in with helping volunteers? Because just like you said,
But postgraduate students, how they can help. You mean LUMS? Now, are we
not
talking
necessarily LUMS, like
no.
having a Muslim circle. You said
Okay.
you will be in the Muslim circle, right? So
Yeah, that's okay. I get what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's at this moment there's no organization that I'm trying to engage in Sweden, locally in Sweden, for alumni, if we call it like this word,
Alumni,
like
yeah.
students who have graduated. But it will be a great idea because I have seen some people starting this, having an alumni Instagram page. Maybe they are trying to plan something where they can gather all these alumni together, which is really a great idea. But I was even trying to say more intentionally is that for this moment, I don't know how I will be engaged in this, but I know that I will somehow. If there's nothing that exists now as a, let's say, organization or so, maybe I'll be engaging in starting this. You know what I mean? So I will be
Sure.
first looking at what is available. If there's nothing available, maybe I will start thinking what I can do. It would be a great idea if I could do it by now, actually, since to like be ahead, you think ahead.
Yes,
But the problem
definitely.
is, since I'm a last year medical student, it would be difficult to do all of that, like LUMS, my studies, and also planning something. But I just have this idea that I want to be engaged somehow locally. But I'm saying that even at this moment, I'm also engaged kind of internationally. I'm trying to like see what is available for me in
Yeah, you're looking for it. You're
out
seeking
there.
for it.
Yeah, I'm seeking for it. Sometimes, you know, nothing could be available, or everything is available at the moment. But if you have the idea, the clarity that you want this thing, you either can create it or find other people that help you with that, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. I asked you specifically, but I'll ask you towards the end why I asked that question. Ali, you want to say something? Because, yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to add on to that point, and basically, right now there is no direct mechanism for that transition, how to help out and so on. There are some right now some basically basic things like a LinkedIn group, for example, that there is still some type of connection, because if you are in this LinkedIn group and you would like to apply to a job, you'll see that there is some connection via LUMS, so that could be some type of point of reference and so on. And I think also more concretely, since you, brother, you're also engaged with the question of Femiso, Sister Rahma is also a bit, she's been inspired from that work being done there. And I think generally just having these platforms and seeing what others are doing. For example, now I do remember that in Finland there is one professional network for Muslims, and I think right now in Sweden we actually did have similar things like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but today that's basically died out. So there is some type of gap that one could fill in. In the UK, I've heard about the Muslim Engineers Network, let's say. So I'm personally an engineer. That could be something interesting to investigate and explore here in Sweden as well. But the thing is, and that's why it's interesting with the MSAs, because usually they are the first points of engagement, or the first points of
Especially the
volunteer work in the
graduates, right?
community.
Because the graduates, you do
Yes.
have an idea how student life is, and what do you call, what new things you can bring in. Because
It's
most of us
yes.
migrants don't have to grapple with new environment, new structure. Yeah.
It's a very
Actually,
natural.
yeah, sorry.
If I just can make this point, it's a very natural point of engaging more, basically. So your first exposure, basically, to the Muslim youth could be via these MSAs. And if your experience there is good, then that could inspire you further in your other work.
Sure.
Yes, Sister Rahma.
I wanted to add is actually, since we are from LUMS, I need also to put like what LUMS also gives for graduating students. As Brother Ali said, that we have this LinkedIn page that connects also other graduating students, but it's not like graduated students are not welcome to our activities, because sometimes we do some activities that we think alumni can actually contribute with their experiences so good that it's actually they are welcome. So we have done some activities that even alumni, Brother Ali was also there, that they were welcome, and we see that as an opportunity for students who are students currently at the moment to be engaging with these students, and that they can share experiences. So even LUMS, even it's just for students, but some activities even alumni are welcome to it.
Alhamdulillah. So I don't want to put Omar on hold. Assalamu alaikum, Omar. So I'm sorry, we did
No problem.
go a bit off tangent. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Omar, and I am a third year student. I'm studying Masters in Computer Science and Engineering. So first, I was studying pharmacy in Uppsala University, and there where I get introduced to MSAs. They had the Uppsala Muslim Student Association, and I started engaging with the association. And yeah, we had a very, mashallah, very good time with the brothers and sisters. Like, it was very good. And from there, pharmacy was not something for me. So I was like, I'm going to the UK to study pharmacy because I didn't like the program in Sweden. So I applied to King's College in London, and I got accepted. So I went there too and tried pharmacy. And there I also met a lot of Muslim students. And subhanAllah, they took me to the mosque they have in the campus. And I went there and I saw students studying, having fun. They have exams soon. They're like doing some exercises together. I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then it didn't work out with the pharmacy. I didn't like it either. So I was like, yeah, I'm going back to Sweden.
But you took the
Uh,
inspiration.
exactly. So I went back to Sweden and I applied for engineering degree in Lund University. And when I landed in Lund, I had some connections from Uppsala, and the male president in Uppsala knew Ali. So I asked him to put me to connect with the brother Ali, to get to know him and start something in Lund. So, and subhanAllah, we got in touch and we started talking, and I think I remember Ali, me and you had the first, we bought some drinks and cookies, and we just sat and
Halal,
talked to students.
halal ones, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
I'm kidding, just joking, man. It's
So
always halal,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, alhamdulillah. And then the journey started basically, me and Ali, and then yeah, subhanAllah, it becomes bigger and bigger, and here we are right now. SubhanAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
I think just to add on to Brother Omar's point, the association was very grassroots. So we basically
Indeed.
started with finding like-minded individuals that are interested in doing this, and then that was also in connection to another question, which was the faith multi-faith rooms that are available for prayer and so on. Since our basically faculty did not have one, the engineering faculty, so this question also basically gathered the like-minded individuals, and that was basically the recipe for the association afterwards. So there was a khair, and that's also why it was a bit delayed, because the idea of an association was already from 2022, since we were inspired by Uppsala, Gothenburg, Stockholm, and so on. But then that question was what was the necessary ingredient, basically, to gather them and then have that, and then that was the segue to the association, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, you said you didn't have a prayer room for your faculty, and I'm like, during my days, I didn't even have a prayer room my whole university.
Yeah.
myself. I'm like, okay, that
Yes.
is nice improvement. Like, from having one for the university to one for each faculty. That's nice. Although I was the only whole Asian, I would say, or there were only two Asians, one from China and one from yeah, I'm from India, so there were only two Asians in the whole batch, so it makes sense.
Just to add a
Uh,
very important point, we still don't have any prayer rooms. I mean, they are not called prayer rooms in Lund University or any kind of university. It's called in Swedish vilorum, which means that it's a way you can like relax in this room, do whatever you want. It could be any kind of worship or just relaxing. And now it's getting harder and harder just for Muslim students to pray in these rooms.
oh, really?
Some of the faculties in like engineering faculties, some of them they don't even have a room to start with, and others is like they have this room, but now they're making restrictions on how to use it. For example, in medicine faculty, the one I'm studying in, we had this room that we could utilize to pray in, but then they have locked it and just make it for relaxation, which means that you have to ask for permission before entering this room. And this happened actually after a very long history with the Muslims, going into this room, praying, and then leaving, prayer mats or wherever it is. And some people didn't like that, and then they made a what's called they like. They just didn't like it, and then they went to the ones who are like responsible for these rooms in the university, and then they made the decision that no, we're gonna lock it. So just to make this clear, we still have this difficulty in trying to find prayer rooms in a university, actually.
Okay. So it was more lenient, and now the discrimination started again. And is it very recently since 2023, or is it before since?
It's different. It's different depending on the faculty itself. Because before it wasn't this problem, I guess nobody made like noticed it. But now some faculties, for example, the medicine one, they have just like now, okay, we don't want that anymore. And I don't know like the reason. I cannot tell you because I have no idea. But I know that since recently they have decided that no, we're gonna lock it. And
I mean, it
yeah.
depends sometimes maybe in the numbers. Like if the number of Muslims are going to pray is increasing,
Could
then
be,
in that
yeah.
case, to prevent that, maybe they might counter some
Maybe it's
measures.
gonna kind of bothering. Maybe also can be some people that leaving their, praying stuff, and it's multifactorial thing. So you don't know why. It could be a bothering factor from their perspective, and it could be something else. Allahu alam.
No, no. So, yeah, I think I'll start with the short introduction again, a little bit about the foundation. So, what inspired you to start LUMS? I have this question to Ali. What inspired you to start this
Uh,
organization, student organization?
so actually, the story starts with the first one, meaning the one in Vakha, the Linnaeus University. So that was the one that we like was the prequel to LUMS, and basically it was a part of the momentum of these student associations. So basically, very close to that one, the one in Gothenburg was established, and I think 1 year before that, the one in KTH Stockholm was established, and then there were actually others that were there from very early on, like Chalmers, which is also an engineering basically college, have their MSA since 1998. And then you have in Alhambra, meaning in Malmö, 2007, and Uppsala 2004, and SU, I think, also 2004, something like this. And these have basically had like basically waves of up and down. And what we saw was that Chalmers, especially the president of that association, he actually also had family in my city, Vakha. So basically, I'm a friend of his. So we discussed the opportunities and the basically the obstacles. How would it look like, and why wouldn't it be feasible or possible for other universities? And actually, it is. So especially when it comes to the community that you have, the sense of pride of your Muslim identity, and also like combating the loneliness that is available among Muslim students, especially, and then also the inclusion. Because student life generally, unfortunately, does have a lot of non-Islamic elements, such as
Activities,
drinking and too much
partying and stuff. Yeah.
of course. So that basically usually the ones either they fall into these activities, or they actually just
Disassociate.
disassociate, yeah, sorry,
Mhm.
from those type of activities, and then that means that they are excluded, and that can also make it harder for both their Islam and also their studies and so on. So usually you want to have a jama'ah, meaning you want to have a larger group helping each other, and that's not impossible when you have the platform. And then of course it's up to the people and the individuals to facilitate this. But when you have the platform, at least, then that's a good point to start. And then also the activities and you can basically increase some awareness about certain issues and so on. So that was basically what inspired the initiative taking. And then alhamdulillah, because you can't start an association by yourself, right? So
Yes.
we basically found people that are also interested in this, and then the journey started from there. And then we found more people, and then from the grassroots, both were grassroots basically.
Mhm.
We had discussions with the universities eventually, and then the one in Linnéa in Växjö is actually linked to the student union. The one in Lund, meaning LUMS, is not linked or connected, since student union policy is that no religious or political association can be under our system, basically.
University. Okay.
And yeah, so the thing is, in Lund is pretty decentralized. So
Okay.
the associations are actually not directly under the university. They are they are under different instances. So you have student nations, you have student um, unions, different unions, and then you have a third one for general fun activities, kind of, which are cultural or like hobby related and so on.
Mhm.
So ours would fall under that, but they have, by the students themselves in their GAs and so on, decided that there should be no religious or political association, and it's actually disassociated with the university. It's not the university's policy; it's actually the students. So in order to change that, you actually kind of need to elect representatives, and then it's a bureaucracy that is going to be lost, unfortunately, which
Unfortunately,
is
but at
actually
least you
also what
can
happened.
have, yeah, at least you can have
It's not
citizens.
impossible.
Mhm.
Yes, it's basically an advocacy work thing that one would have to do, and that's the main challenge, because since we are not a part of the available student life
Mhm.
actively due to these parties and so these practical things, we don't really have that insight in how the system would work. Of course, that's a point of one could work on more and one could achieve more, I think. And generally, different universities are better at this. MSAs of those universities are better at this than others. But since we basically had to learn by ourselves, so
Mhm.
it's hard to do everything at the same time. But alhamdulillah, when it comes to these Muslim students, I think LUMS does have a significant presence, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, Omar, I think I have this question for you. So Ali has created a foundation through like other organizations, like with the help of other organizations. How are you going to carry it by connecting with other Muslims from not just within Sweden but also beyond? I think you guys have a good relationship because you border with literally Denmark by by a bridge or something. So, how are you going to expand it to other countries? Maybe Finland, maybe Denmark.
You mean the collaboration itself? Or
Yes. Activities like
okay,
having because what I find that you do have activities is it's very close to Erasmus Plus. Very close to
yeah.
Erasmus Plus. You have your own Muslim gathering. So, although Erasmus, when they usually have with like international activities, visiting other cities, like inter-Muslim. So, how
Mm.
would you expand it by
I
reaching
mean,
out to other Muslim
right
MSAs?
now we have already had collaboration with the Danish universities, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We had
Alhamdulillah.
paid activities. We had a very fun activity with the Danish universities multiple times, if I remember right. Sister Rahme and Ali. Yeah,
Two.
two times. Yeah. I mean, having international collaboration can be challenging sometimes because when it comes to finances, we don't get any support. We just get donations from students, and yeah, that's basically it. So having international, it can be possible only if we gonna do it through Zoom, for example. But you know, this is the closest thing we could do is the Danish because it's very close to us. It's like an hour from Lund, so this is accessible for us to do an activity. And even like inside of Sweden, like if we're gonna do a collaboration with Uppsala, it's very long distance too. So it's like 6-7 hours drive. So you know there is some constraints, like it's not always easy, but we always, like in Ramadan, we have always collaboration with every single association in Sweden. We do a Ramadan program, and thanks to Zoom and these platforms nowadays, it makes it easy to connect with everyone, with every single country,
How
with
about
like
summer camps or something like that? Like, I'm sure Sweden has beautiful landscapes. People do want to
yeah,
visit Sweden for its landscapes. Although you have the rival, Norway. They have
yeah,
fjords. So, yeah. What about hiking? So can't you organize, Northern Light sightseeing with all
yeah.
the Muslim organizations that you know?
I
Winter
mean,
camping, yeah?
this is maybe something to plan actually in the future, but from now we didn't do anything like that. But we did the hiking actually with
Mm-hmm.
the student. We went, so it was very fun. But you know, sometimes students think of budget, like, okay, I have to pay for this, I have to pay for this, and for us to like to create something like that, we don't have the foundation, we don't have the money for that, you know, because we rely heavily on donations, and our target are students
No, this is
and student.
definitely like most of the organizations that I know, they depend only on students. Whatever students can
Exactly,
afford, they use that collective money to fund for the trip. So,
exactly, and that's exactly what we do also.
mhm.
But you know, when for example you have an event, we say 30 euros, for example, like 300 crowns a day. It's a lot of money for students. I don't know why, but like you see, if you see the Swedish like activities, they pay like 1,000 crowns. But I don't know what's the like the Swedish students, they just pay 1,000 crowns and they are. But I don't know why for us it's. I don't know why like people are not willing to participate sometimes when it comes like it's heavy. Like we're not used to this system that much.
Mm-hmm.
If we gonna say so, like paying, for example, for example, we have a banquet actually,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like 350. Uh,
I saw the
we had
Eid
like
banquet, yeah.
yeah, we had like 100 participants, alumni and the students from every single university in Sweden. So this was a very fun activities. So having like traveling with doing travel to the north and stuff, it's very costly uh, if there is no like a lot of students willing to come
Mm-hmm. But this is
because it's
this
gonna
is
hit the
I'm
economy
saying
then.
internationally. So even let's say five students come with you, join with you from Lund, five from Uppsala, five from Stockholm, or five from Copenhagen. You already have a group of 20,
Hmm.
which is sufficient for hiking. You don't need like hundreds of people.
You mean so?
Yeah, indeed. I
But
mean,
we try. But when we do activities, we just try to include our members,
mhm.
like learned members, because okay, what? Because this is what we think sometimes. Having lunch, because Lund, it doesn't have a lot of activities. It's very separated from everything.
Indeed,
Like
yeah.
maybe us is the only university who is active in Skåne, basically. Like Alhambra have some activities here and there, but we have the most activities. Uh,
In a year. Okay.
so taking only five will leave the whole students just
It's a
yeah.
once a year trip, right? It's not regular trip.
Maybe
Once
Rahme
a
add something to what I said now.
yeah. I mean, you had
No,
some.
well, it was something just to add on what Brother Omar said. It's okay. If I have to answer more like broadly, the thing is, everything like whenever we decide to do something or not to do it, is we have to go back to our like vision or why this organization exists to start with. So our vision as like LUMS is more of we're focusing, or our target people are Muslim students who are studying at Lund University. And as Brother Ali said, we are a very new organization and we have much to learn. And we have just started like for the last 2-3 years, which means that we're still in this process of seeing what we can do and what is capable for our economical issues and stuff. So we rely on donations basically. And for something that is very unique for Sweden, but not for other countries, for example, is that we as students here, we get paid for our studies. So we have this CSN. That means that I get paid because I'm studying this, which also means that if you work aside of your studies, you are kind of economically sufficient and you need to take loans in most cases, not all cases, but most cases, which also means that, okay, if I am a Muslim student and I'm trying to, dodge the loan as good as possible, it means that I have to make my economical state I have to calculate everything. So I don't need to take loans, for example. And here comes also why Swedish students can, pay many thousands crowns just to go on activity. But Muslim students are more like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it or not, because I'm not going to go for this long thing, or I don't want to be a burden on my family or stuff like that. So this can explain why some students choose to maybe, I don't want to go on activities if it's going to cost me a lot. So here we go back a step and say, okay, what is most important for us? Is it to gather the students in Lund University and make like a community for them, activities that are like as good as their economical like ability? Or is it that, okay, we need to think more widely, broadly, maybe gonna cost them more, maybe we're gonna maybe lose them because they think, okay, these organizations just do many costly things. I don't know. I understand your point, doing something as a year, maybe a trip or so, and it's absolutely a good idea. We, as I said, we are very new in this process, and we're trying to see what we can do. But what we're doing now is having a good relationship with every MSA in Sweden. We have like this messenger group where we talk and ask each other. So it's a good start. We have this leadership courses that Uppsala, mashallah, arranges every year, and there many students in all Sweden like gather there. So the last leadership course that Uppsala arranged was in November 2024. And then, for example, me from the board and another volunteer, we like traveled to Uppsala and we met other students. So maybe if we're not able to create our own, internationally or nationally activities, we try that we engage all volunteers if there's possibility to go with us to see what other organizations do, to get inspired. And if we cannot create it ourselves, at least we give them the ability to see for themselves and to have this, I want to do that. Maybe we can create this here in Lund, inshallah, in the coming months or years. I don't know, inshallah, in the near future.
Inshallah.
Last point on this, just to make it internationally also. For example, I have traveled for the last 3 months, 2 times to the UK. And whenever I'm in the UK, it's a study circle or something. And whenever I am there, whether with FEMISO or other organizations, I always talk about LUMS, and I always make, LUMS heard and the idea of LUMS that exists. And many of us do that. We have these stickers on LUMS logo we have printed recently, and we just give them to people. And we have gained many followers and supporters through this as well. So we try our best. If we cannot make people come to us, we go to them. That's what I wanted to say to you.
Alhamdulillah. So you did touch on one point I wanted to ask you the next question, and that is, what is the mission, vision, and the achievements of LUMS? So you touched on mission. So can you just expand a little bit on mission, and then I'll ask the goals to other people?
Yeah. So the thing is, when Brother Ali and the other co-founders started LUMS, as he just mentioned, that they didn't know many things about how professionally best way to create it. They had this idea, mashallah, they wanted to create something. So none of anybody before touch upon this vision, mission, goals, and strategy, this stuff. And it's just recently, subhanAllah, when you just go and see other organizations, what they do, you get this inspiration. So very recently, we started thinking about this vision, mission, goals, and stuff like that. And we cannot say that we're totally 100% done with this yet. I know that maybe we're kind of late, but best late than never, So we have started about talking a vision, mission, and we have created statements that we even discussed at the annual meeting last year. So our goal now is to make them clear before the next annual meeting, so it's clear for everyone. Because something we have understood from our working is that if not everyone in the board is on board of what's happening and what LUMS is for, then you can have this minor, little problems happening here and there because people have different understandings of this association
You
and
do
what it's
have
for.
a room for changes, yes.
Exactly. So if I have to read like the vision we have come up until now, I cannot, as I said, it's not the full version. We're trying to make adjustments, but it's like to become a bridge of solidarity that reinforces the religious thread that binds Muslim students at Lund University, fostering a harmonious community. That's the sketchy things that we're working on. So that's our vision, that we want to be this organization, a community for all Muslim students at Lund University. The mission of it is, as I've tried to say before, we try to focus on how that we can do this vision, by maybe doing activities, both for fun but also for learning stuff. So we have this, that we have to educate and empower students of today. What this means, it means that we need to do activities that kind of serve this goal. For example, the last activity we did, actually very last one, the kick-off, we had both lecture and fun games. The lecture was held actually by brother Mohammed Kiswani, who is the co-founder of Palestine Drinks, if you're aware of it. It's Palestine
Yes, I know
Drinks.
Palestine Drink, yeah.
Yeah. So it also was very interesting that the students gathered to listen of the history of why he became who he is, and why even we as some of us are refugees. Me, myself, I am Palestinian who was born in Syria and came to Sweden, so I'm not born in Sweden. So it also gives you this insight of how important it is to understand your history, to understand where you are. So we do this both to serve our goals, both fun activities, but also lectures that serve, for example, understanding who you are, combating against Islamophobia, and stuff like that.
Sure, alhamdulillah. Yes, Omar?
Yeah, subhanAllah. We also talk about how you improve in your profession. For example, as us, we engineers right now. The last activity also Brother Muhammad talked about, like how to develop yourself, how to build connections, to thrive and to grow. Because we as Muslims, we just think, just go work, and that's it. No, and me myself, I would encourage every single student to start their own business, have their own like income, and this is something like every single Muslim student should thrive to, actually. Like to have because when you have this, you can support your community. You can do a lot of khair with this. You can hire your own like students. You can hire. It's a lot of khair. And
being independent gives you the leverage to
exactly. And this is something also we encourage in our community, and we have this LinkedIn hashtag group where Brother Ali and other alumnus they share their experiences in the work, how to develop, what to do in their careers and stuff like that. It's very beneficial, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, we try and thrive and develop with each other.
So I think I wanted to ask you about goals, but I did get more or less the idea from the vision itself. What are your goals? And you still have to set certain things. But so I'll ask you the next question. Who can become a member? So people who are studying in LUMS, yes, who can become a member? And I know that I've read your doc file, how you become a member. You have to pay like 24 or 25 crowns, I believe. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
100. Omar, you can answer this one.
Yeah, it's 100 crowns.
100 crowns, okay. That's like $24 euros?
No, it's like €9.
€9, okay. It's even cheaper.
Around.
It's like
Yeah.
what, a meal?
Yeah,
Yeah,
almost.
alhamdulillah. I mean, if
So
you're
yeah,
yeah. So
I mean,
can you tell us who can become a member and what are the benefits of becoming a LUMS member?
absolutely. So being a member is basically, it costs, as I said, 100 crowns, and all the Lund University students can be members. It's
So
only for Lund University members.
that's my question. Is it for participating in activities or is it more like being a member, like on volunteers? So who is it
No,
exactly? Who are paying
it's
this?
just being a member. You don't have to be volunteer. You don't have to be anything. It's just like supporting us in our mission. To be a member, you get discount for events. So this is basically our main like
Okay.
mission.
So but I asked you that question because let's say a student comes up to you and says, like, I don't want to be in most of these activities, but I do like one of your activities. So, for instance, Ramadan. So he has to pay those €9 or
No, so we have two options, one for members and one for non-members.
okay.
And because there is sometimes students who doesn't want to be a member for some reason, and we have this option basically, but it's slightly more expensive for non-members because we have discount for members. So this is what makes it different, and it's like, and there is we like actually it's a big difference sometimes in the activities, like how much you pay as a member and how much you pay as a non-member. So yeah,
Okay, I get it. Now I get it. I believe even with the Erasmus ESN, they have this card and you get some discounts and stuff. So
exactly,
I'm talking
exactly.
for an international audience as well because I do understand how the ESN works. So yeah, the next question would be to Sister Rahma, particularly. So how do you balance between the accusations of how people about free mixing and segregation? So people might definitely think like, okay, you're having everyone in one room. So how do you balance between that?
Okay. It's very actually accurate question because, as an MSA, you will always get these both sides, complaining about why segregating and also why not segregating. I mean, you can get both sides. And we try our best to just like adjust our activities so it goes along with how it should be Islamically, if it's too much getting with both genders, it's not necessary. So we try to adjust that. How we do it is basically just ask ourselves this very basic question. Is it necessary, for example, for, let's say, segregate or not segregate? When we have activities like lectures or activities that can cost us a lot of time if we have to plan two separate instead of one, we just go with absolutely doing it anyway because we have this rule, or not rule, but not written rule, but everyone understands it in the room, that we have like sisters sitting in session, let's say a side could be, or in the front, or it doesn't matter, and the brothers in the other side. And it's works actually very well because the thing is, we don't want to create too much gap between genders either, because it's also very wrong to think that, okay, sisters should be also like just for themselves and brothers for themselves, because it goes against actually what society is created for. When you go using the buses or your schools or everything, you have mixed gender. And it's actually something that is absolutely okay if you know how to deal with it. So what we do is we never create our own society that way. We still outside, like every other person. We have this mixed activities, but we have this, we know where
Boundaries.
we stand exactly. You know where we stand, and our red lines. That's it. However, it's very wrong to like separate too much because it creates this gap, which actually even Islamically not correct. So yeah, I mean, we get also, from some brother that think, okay, we're mixing too much. Often from brothers, unfortunately, that comes these comments. And sometimes we get this that, okay, no, you're actually separating too much. And you cannot, make everyone happy. That's
That's true,
impossible.
yes.
So what we try to do is that we take these comments and in a very respectful way, and we answer them in the way we think is correct. And then we just try to make our point of view that even if you are a Muslim association, it doesn't mean that we just create our own separate from society. It's even wrong. You do it in what it could be
Halal way.
possible. Yeah, I mean,
Islamic.
and even attending lectures or even activities. Yeah, and it's, let's say we're doing a hiking activity. We still can do it in both genders if like the brothers stick with themselves and the sisters stick with themselves. And it's not even impossible that we can have discussion between the two genders when it's possible and when it's okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, we try to do that. We cannot control what people do, but we try to make the atmosphere and we adjust it so it could be as good as it could be. That's what I can say about it.
Alhamdulillah. Ali, I think I want to expand that question on you, especially men might not be criticizing women too much in a sense, like, but they might confront men constantly. So have you faced those criticisms?
Yes. So this question it's an interesting question because it is being brought up in different lights and from different types of people, of course. And it does have a lot to do with who is your target audience of the association. So is it more practicing Muslims or is it less practicing Muslims? And what gap is it really that you would like to fill? But I think it also goes back to the mindset. How open are you to criticism? Because sometimes I think, especially since we're navigating this by ourselves, it's pretty hard to know what works and what doesn't work. It could be in relation to the actual activities. It could be the actual organizing group or within the board. What are the actual boundaries? And I think it's very important because as someone told me just from quite recently, when you do respect the boundaries, the barakah and the blessings of your work will also be manifested much more. It's basically proportionally linked to each other when you do respect boundaries and also its blessings. So I think it's very important. And also this goes back to other things, which is that some people need to hear some things more than others, meaning people that don't have any boundaries should be told to have boundaries, and people that have maybe even like more boundaries than there should be, then they should have the side, right? But you can still
Balance.
have both thoughts at the same time, and it is, I think, a struggle to try to manage these both at the same time, because
So how do you navigate
sometimes
those
it can,
criticisms
yeah.
exactly?
So first of all, when it comes to criticism, if it is like, why did you do this? I think it's a duty on the association to actually consider what's being said, even if it is being said like basically criticizing how you're taking your decision. But at the same time, when you do take your decision, it should be something that you can stand behind, and then that means that Islamically, you like, because it is an Islamic question, you should know what to stand behind before you actually take the decision. You shouldn't be just taking it and go on. But and that especially goes back to necessity. Is it necessary, for example, to play games with the other gender at the same time? Is this actually necessary? I would say no, right? So then, if that is something that, okay, we can agree on this, then discussions, and when it comes to some things, then that could be more allowed, right? So it is something you have to navigate. It's hard, but at the same time, I think it is healthy to have to know that there is a line, basically, because otherwise it can go and of course
To extremes.
when it comes to seclusion and so on. There are some things that like you want to make an environment that people know how to navigate, basically. And of course, I think each gender should also talk to. I think it is more. It's easier to receive if it is coming from your own gender. The response. Let's say if a brother raises this point to a sister, it's not going to be received as well. But if a brother answers and so on, I think it's easier. And then also, basically, when it comes to these things, I think it is a difference because we are an MSA. MSA means Muslim Student Association. We are the thing that is separating us. Our selling point is that we try to make it as halal as possible, right? So
students,
that
yes.
makes that puts a greater responsibility. So even though maybe at school during group work and so on, you might have cooperations with the other gender, but you're kind of forced into it, right? But if it isn't necessary, then I think one should manage it a bit better. And then, of course, those lines. It's not just an MSA question; it's general activism in Europe and the Western Hemisphere generally. That I think everybody has the same challenges, basically.
Challenging. So now let me pivot to another question to Omar. Do you help students, new students, to navigate between getting scholarships like LUMS? Does LUMS help people get scholarship? Because you did, I mean, Rahma did touch on you get paid. So are there any additional scholarships for everyone?
But what do you mean
International students.
scholarships?
Scholarships for international
Aha,
students, they have to pay, right, usually. So
yeah. But it's not something we have. I mean, we have never been asked about scholarship, to be honest. Uh, because most of our students are not international. Like if we have mostly national students and like 3, 4 international students, which they have already acquired a scholarship or they have already paid their fees, tuition fees. So scholarship is not something because in Sweden, every single Swedish citizen get some kind of uh, paid like every single month, like around 350 euros. Uh, so scholarship is not something we deal with, but
okay.
sometimes we get some questions in our Instagram, like new students thinking of applying to Lund University, and they ask us how is the community, how is their halal spots, is there mosque, and alhamdulillah we have created a lot of tools to help the students make it easy for them to decide, okay, is it something for me or not? So we have created a map with all halal restaurants in Lund and in the near cities. Like, for example, Lund is very close to Malmo, and Malmo is very heavily, like, it's basically halal restaurants all over the place.
What is the Muslim population in Lunds exactly?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Ali, do you have any idea how?
When you say so, Lund basically as a city, it does have many cultures, but generally the university, since it is very strategically located, is actually many students from different cities like Malmö, and Malmö is one of the highest concentrated, like one of the highest Muslim concentrated cities in Sweden. And then also you have Helsingborg. It's the region Skåne basically. It's pretty small, so Lund University gathers many students from different cities at the same time. So also in our activism, this also manifests because usually it's commuters that are participating in one way or another. But I would say there is a Muslim population also in Lund itself, but it's not really that big compared
Significant.
to Malmö.
Mm,
Yeah. So there is, of course, we have multiple mosques even, but it's a combination. You need to have them also be university students in Lund. So that's why it's a bit harder, especially among immigrant communities. It's not really a high concentration necessarily that directly goes into that if the community isn't old enough.
Okay, that's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, and we try to make our activities in English to accommodate this opportunity for international students to participate in our activities. Like the last activity, we had it in English, the lecture itself, because we had some international students from Canada, from Indonesia, from Malaysia. So we have, alhamdulillah, but it's not
It's
like
not
a
that
lot of
big, the
students.
international, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3, 4, 5 maximum.
Few, few.
Yeah.
So maybe this I did not put it, but I was just thinking of some ideas. But is it possible for you, for your association to have? I mean, recently a lot of Islamophobic activities are rising up. Do you think to counter Islamophobia, especially within the student association, and we recently saw also the mass shooting in Sweden? So perhaps it. Don't you think it would be a good idea as student associations to revive the some documentaries or film watch or something like that. Like, I don't know, stories of Omar Mukhtar or what happened in Indonesia, what the Dutch did to Indonesia. So I know we have Eid and all that stuff, but like, let's say you have Muslim communities from Algeria, Morocco. So reviving that history, showing movies or showing what happened with Nakba. Do you think it would be a good opportunity to show students, the upcoming students, what really happened? Yeah.
It absolutely could be a great idea. And actually, this one that I just mentioned to you, the kickoff activity where we had Brother Muhammad Kiswani, it was okay. It's about his journey, but it was talking a lot about history and, for example, the Palestinian history and many new stuff that we didn't know about. So many students, when they were like, after that, they were like, well, this is something really good. I have learned a lot today. And we usually do these activities where we talk about like history, both in, for example, this one for Palestine, but also about like how Islam, for example, how it's become Islamophobia and why is the reason behind it. So it's nothing new. Actually, we just kind of do this. Regarding what happened in Örebro, we went with this. It was really shocking for all of us, and of course, you don't know what you're gonna do. So we went with this statement in our Instagram, if you have seen it, where we tried not also just to say, okay, we are very sad of what happened, but also we kind of criticized. And if you have seen the full post, we have criticized, and we have also come with what we actually asking for, our commands and stuff. And something to think about, that raising awareness is absolutely something that we should work on, because it's one of our job as an MSA, especially when things happen.
Among
and
students.
we try to among students, and we try to include it as possible, like when it's there is a possibility for it, and talk about it. And so we are this kind of organization that usually talk about this stuff and discuss it together, and we make posts and stuff like that.
And who
At this moment,
do you have mostly Muslims coming to these events, especially when it's history, or do you have also non-Muslims? Are you
I mean,
also?
all of our activities are open for actually everyone, and we never said that you have to be Muslim to come to one of our activities. As Brother Omar have just explained, that even if you're, for example, not member, you're still welcome as long as you study at your university, but you pay another price. So they are welcome, and it happened actually 3 times, I guess, that non-Muslims have came, and they were more than welcome. And that's also the most important thing, even when we talked about segregation and stuff like that, that every single Muslim, despite where they are in this journey, of how much they are practically practicing Islam, they are welcome, because we're not called practicing Muslim Student Association. We're called, as long as you're Muslim, or even if you're not Muslim, actually, we're called Muslim Student, but our main focus is Muslims. You are welcome, but that's again come about the boundary, and that we have our own values, that if you want to come to our activities, you have to respect it, and that's it.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah,
I don't know
it's
if
an
you, Brother
opportunity.
Omar, has something to add on this Islamophobia, but as I said, for now, we don't have any plans on this, but we usually do it on a regular basis, because we think stuff like Palestine, stuff like what happened in Syria, and all these, countries, but also about Islam and Islamophobia is very important to discuss. And we have many activities where we do lectures, actually, and we invite people to talk.
Alhamdulillah. Ali, Brother Ali, do you have any thing to say?
I think on this point, it's about resources and target groups, target audiences. So generally, our target audience is practicing Muslims, and due to lack of resources, we can't really focus too much on awareness for non-Muslims or non-aware people of Islamophobia. Although I think there is a large gap in that, and I think actually, especially university students tend to be more open for those things, but it's a different way of working, which LUMS, I think we aren't really there. Also with integrating with available instances, I think we have a lot of room to improve on that, but due to lack of resources, it's a bit hard to achieve this. But I think I do agree with your point. And sometimes, like for example, we had a Srebrenica remembrance activity, which was a cooperation with other Scandinavian organizations, and I think this was a social media campaign that we also were a part of. So I think these things on the social media level might be done, awareness and so on, but I think it's a bit harder when it comes to actually allocating the resources available, because since our target audience have their challenges with life as a student, Muslim student at the campus and so on, it's a bit hard to solve all the issues at the same time. Allahu A'lam.
Sister Rahma, you have something to say?
Yeah, just one thing to add. I don't know why I forgot it, but actually we are working now as Srebrenica campaign. If you've seen it, we are working a kind of similar project on actually Islamophobia, but it started very long time ago. It started not very long, but it's in November 2024, before Örebro things happened. So we kind of many MSAs both in Sweden but also in the whole Scandinavian regions. Some of us have gathered and tried like, okay, what is the next topic? We did Srebrenica, what we want. Okay, we said Palestine, Islamophobia and stuff like that. So every kind of MSA involved, we tried to make our own script, but it's still in process. So it's not full done yet, but it's something that I just wanted to mention, that we kind of aware that we want and we need to do something about it. And as Brother Ali says, sometimes it's just the resources that people maybe don't have time, they don't have the money to do it. So we try to do as good as we can. Again,
do you think this would be a good solution? Because especially with, I mean, you are connected, alhamdulillah, from different MSAs. So why not, each university, they prepare these materials from bringing ambassadors. So for instance, you guys can invite Moroccan embassy or like Algerian embassy, and the Uppsala maybe Indonesian industry, and you collect those materials and you share among yourselves. Like, do you think that would be a possible solution? Like, you share your resources, yeah?
I get your point. It again comes back to two things, our mission and also the resources.
Yes.
I understand your point. It's actually, when you say it sounds amazing, but when it comes to reality, you need people who can do this work. And resources, when you talk about it, it's not only about money, it's also about human resources, that people who can do this. So often, since we are very since we are very new still organization, and we try to be as collective as possible, so sometimes we cannot be in all fronts. We try our best, but unfortunately we can't do it. But when you say it, it's absolutely a good idea, but I don't think that we can do it at this stage, actually.
Inshallah, may Allah make it possible with more volunteers. Expand your project as well. So I think I have very little time, so perhaps a little touch on Palestine protests and stuff. So do you find discrimination when you're trying to lead the Palestinian protests from LUMS University, or because you told me your university disassociates itself from being political, or so do you find any confrontment from the university when you want to lead a Palestinian protest?
I would say,
you can answer that,
since we are actually not a part of the student organization's like hierarchy in any way, they don't really have any mandate to say anything, really. But then also our initiatives haven't been to the extent and level that other other people
MSAs.
or other groups, not MSAs necessarily. If we're talking about the Lund context, there are other initiatives being taken that have had a great impact and carried out the voice. And I think it's not wise to use the MSAs for some struggles that could harm the mission and the vision of the actual MSA. I think you can have multiple hats at the same time. For example, you could be in the board of a mosque, you could be in the board of a engineering or association, and then also in an MSA. You don't need to do everything in the name of the MSA. You could still be active and participate in the available struggles and so on with other different hats. And I think the available players are already doing this much better and stronger, because also, you know, the prejudice and so on. If Muslims would gather in some place and make a manifestation that are mainly from an immigrant background, I don't think it's going to be as strong as, let's say, the ethnic Swede, mainly the ethnic Swede and so on, that's also not necessarily Muslim, or but from different. So I think the available players are already stronger, but of course we've done awareness and so on. But yeah, it's been a challenge with how much could one do, and also now we invited Ustad Muhammad Kiswani from Palestine Ranks, which is an inspiration. So it depends on how you handle the issue.
Yeah.
I just
So,
want to add
yeah.
something. We always do awareness, but we have never led protests. As Brother Ali said, when you asked your question, it sounded like that we did it, but we have never actually did it. As Brother Ali said, it's also smart to see what kind of, people who can do the work for you, and they already doing it. So if your engagement can make things worse, then maybe it's better just to do what you're best at, which is spreading awareness, and that's actually what we're doing.
Alhamdulillah. So, I mean, at least something is going on. So, I think I will wrap up. Just a little bit about how can people reach out to you? Who can reach out to you? I know your Instagram. I'll put it in the in the description. So, any other way that you would like people to reach out to you, and what can they reach out to you about?
We have a lot of channels. We have WhatsApp, we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have our mail too. So we have, alhamdulillah, a lot of channels, and everyone is welcome to connect with us, have questions, everything. We are here for everyone to connect, to spread our information, and spread happiness, and spread knowledge.
So, do you have a
Alhamdulillah.
customer care support of 24 hours? Like people can call you any time of the day?
This far we have not come. We have not come to this far,
Not yet.
but we are happy to receive any messages.
Inshallah,
I'll
inshallah.
send them to you, inshallah, all the details, brother.
Jazakallah khair. So I'll put it in the description. So Jazakallah khair. Hope you may Allah put barakah in your works and expand it, inshallah. I mean, so
Barakallah fikum.
And
barakallah
you
khair.
too, mashallah, you're doing amazing work, brother. May Allah
Thank you.
bless
Thank
you.
you very much.
I
Thank
mean,
you very much.
thank you
Jazakallah
very
khair.
much.
So yeah, we'll conclude and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Take care.
Assalamu
Alaikum
alaikum.
assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.